Hey everybody, Mrs. KJ here, going over the Unit 2 pre-lab properties of substances. Alright, it is possible to observe physical and chemical changes when substances are combined. In this laboratory exercise, combine a number of substances and watch the reactions that occur. Be on the lookout for both chemical and physical changes. Remember that chemical change, some sort of new substance is formed, so we make something brand new. While in a physical change, the substances only change state or form, and no new substances result. So physical change, they talk about changing state. That is our phase changes are for physical. That means changing from solid to liquid to gas. Because if you have solid ice, that's really just solid H2O. If you melt it, you have liquid H2O. It's still H2O. If you boil it, you have steam. It's still H2O. Therefore, it is a physical change. Chemical changes, again, are when we're going to make something completely new and different from what we started with. All right, so goals: observe physical changes when two substances are mixed, examine products produced from mixtures, infer if a chemical reaction has occurred. Combining substances can have some unexpected and interesting results. In this laboratory experiment, you will be combining a number of substances in a controlled setting. You will be performing an experiment using microchemistry. That means you will be using very small amounts of substances and observing what happens when they are combined. As you will see, changes can occur to substances when they are combined. Take some time to review what you learned about physical and chemical changes before you start the lab. So again, which one of these two is going to make a new substance? It's going to be the chemical. Microchemistry, or using little amounts in chemistry, allows you to do things on a smaller scale at lower cost and is the basis for modern chemistry. Physical changes result when some property of a material changes, but the actual chemical nature of the material stays the same. So for example, when we talked about phase changes, ice, water, steam, it's all H2O, so it's just a physical change. When you combine the substances in this lab, you may see physical changes. If you notice that some of the properties of the material change, but no new material is formed, then you have observed a physical change. One physical change that you are probably familiar with is the melting or freezing of water. When you place water in an ice cube tray and put it in the freezer, a physical change occurs. The water changes from a liquid to a solid, but it is still water. The chemical composition of water, H2O, has not changed. Melting icicles represent a physical change from solid water to liquid water. In each case, the substance is the same. It's water, H2O. Another example of a physical change is if you rip a piece of paper. It's still paper. If you bend your fingers, they're still your fingers. So those are physical changes. Chemical changes occur when two or more substances combine to form one or more new substances. It is also highly likely that when you combine some of the substances in this laboratory exercise, you will observe chemical changes. Something new may form when two substances are combined. You may recognize a chemical change by a change in color, the release of gas, a change in temperature, or the formation of a new substance called a precipitate. A precipitate is when you add two or more liquids together, and it looks like magic because you pour these two liquids together and it makes this big chunky solid, usually a different color than the liquids. A ripening banana undergoes a chemical change. As the banana ripens, it releases a gas, which then causes chemical changes in the peel and the fruit inside the peel. If left too long, the banana will begin to spoil and may release an odor, indicating that a further or another chemical change has occurred. These types of things you should look out for as you conduct the experiment. Color change usually is chemical. Not always, there's a couple exceptions, but color change is usually chemical. The release of gas, like smoke or whether it's bubbles, is definitely the result of a chemical reaction. Study the properties of substances by working in a virtual lab experiment. The virtual lab will allow you to study the properties of many different substances using microplates as it is done in many authentic laboratories around the world. Your work will be done in a virtual environment that is similar to that of a real laboratory. Work through the lab and collect data, then analyze the data as directed and fill out the lab report. So that will actually be in the upcoming videos. And then these are the major questions of the lab. Define chemical change. The second question, define physical change. The third question, what type of change creates a new substance? And after evaporation, question number 4, after evaporation, if the well contains substance that is the same color as one of the original substances, and there were no bubbles at any point, what can you conclude about the remaining substance? Okay, so it's saying maybe it started out white, turned blue, ended up being white after we let it sit. So that's what this one's asking. So it says, okay, we started white, turned blue, ended up being white. I'll give you a hint. Think of a spoon or other metal. So a spoon gets red hot in fire. You let it cool down. It's back to the original silverish color. All right, so think about that. Did we change the spoon? Or is it still a spoon? We made it red hot, like you're in the campfire. Maybe you're making s'mores, and it's red hot. You take it out. You let it cool. It's back to the original color. So is it still the same metal? Is it still the same spoon? Therefore, would it be physical or chemical change?